This section is about one of the most extraordinary soldiers in history. A man who served in the military for 34 years, fought in 6 different wars, including both World War I and World War II, and sustained injuries in various parts of his body. He was wounded multiple times by shrapnel and bullets to his face, head, abdomen, ankle, leg, pelvis, and flesh. Once, a flare exploded in his hand, severely injuring his fingers, forcing him to amputate them himself. In another incident, he was shot in the head and lost his left eye, but survived. Later, he escaped death in 2 separate plane crashes. He was also taken as a prisoner of war, but despite having only one hand, he managed to dig a tunnel and escape the POW camp. In the end, reflecting on his experiences, he wrote, "I enjoyed the war." General Sir Adrien Carton de Wiart was born in 1880 into an aristocratic family in Belgium. Like many aristocrats of his time, he attended Oxford College. When he turned 19, his father wanted him to study law at university, but Adrien decided, without anyone knowing, to head straight to the battlefield. The Second Boer War, a conflict between South Africa and the British Empire, was ongoing at the time. Interestingly, Adrien tried to enlist as a soldier on both sides of the war, the British Army and the Boer Army. The British initially rejected him due to his age, but Adrien lied on a new application, falsifying his name, age, and other details. This time, the British Army accepted him, and he went off to war. At that point, all he wanted was to experience combat, and he didn't particularly care which side he fought for. Early in the war, Adrien was wounded in the stomach and groin and returned home to his family, who were unaware of his actions. They were shocked to see him in such a state and scolded him heavily, but their criticism had no effect. While recovering at home, he underwent medical treatment and rigorous physical training to get back on his feet. Eventually, he was assigned a new mission in South Africa, where he fought as the leader of a camel-mounted cavalry unit for the British Army. Back in the field, Adrien sustained more injuries. Shrapnel hit his ear, and later his eye was struck twice, once near the edge and once directly, leaving him permanently blind in that eye. Amazingly, he survived and returned home once more. When World War I began, Adrien volunteered to fight again. His commander, however, questioned how they could send a man with only one functioning eye to war, fearing it might give the enemy the impression of weakness. To address this, a glass eye was made for him to cover the empty socket. Once fitted with the prosthetic, Adrien was deemed fit to serve, but as soon as the procedure was completed, Adrien removed the glass eye, threw it away, and replaced it with a pirate-like eye patch. He rejoined the British Army and went to fight in World War I. Not long after, a flare exploded in his hand, tearing off the skin. 2 of his fingers were left barely attached. His watch also shattered on his wrist, leaving his arm badly injured. He was rushed to a field hospital. The doctors debated whether to amputate his fingers. Adrien, tired of the pain, took matters into his own hands literally and pulled his injured fingers off himself. Eventually, his hand became so damaged that the doctors amputated it entirely below the elbow. Now, Adrien not only had one eye, but was also missing an arm. Most people would have given up at this point, but not Adrien. He signed up for the next war and learned to reload and fire a rifle with just one hand. During this war, he was hit by shrapnel in the back of his head, his leg, and his ear. Yet, against all odds, Adrien survived again. In later battles, Adrien was shot in the ankle and hip. During one of the wars, he was a commander and had taken several battalions and their leaders to the front lines. After some time, news came that the commanders of 2 battalions had been killed. Adrian then took command of those 2 battalions as well. Without access to radios or telephones, he personally traveled between the 3 battalions, which were far apart, multiple times in a single day under heavy gunfire to deliver the necessary orders. For his bravery in this battle, Adrian was later awarded the Victoria Cross, the highest military honor for valor. After World War I, Adrian was sent to Poland by the British Army. During one battle against the Cossacks while riding on a train, he was shooting at the attacking Cossacks when he suddenly fell off the train. However, he quickly climbed back onto the moving train and resumed firing. At the start of World War II, Adrian was assigned a mission that required him to fly to Romania. Midway through the journey, a German aircraft spotted them in the sky and opened fire. Adrian and his companions were forced to jump into the water to save themselves. Their plane crashed into the water shortly after, but Adrian survived. On another occasion, as a British Army commander in Yugoslavia, Adrian was on a plane near Libya when it suffered a mechanical failure and was on the verge of crashing. Despite having only one hand, Adrian jumped into the water and swam to the shore. At the time, Libya was under Italian control. When Adrian reached the shore, he was captured by the Italians and taken to an Italian prison. While in captivity, he and 6 other prisoners dug an 18-meter underground tunnel and escaped. Adrian hid in the surrounding mountains for 4 weeks. Eventually, however, he was recaptured. But this time, luck was on his side. Shortly after, due to negotiations between Britain and Italy, Adrian was released and returned to Britain. Adrian continued his service in the British Army, with his final mission being as a personal bodyguard to Winston Churchill in China. A soldier with only one eye and one hand, but unwavering determination. Throughout his career, Adrian received 31 medals. He ultimately passed away in 1963 at the age of 83.